And I should have cleaned up a little bit more, but it's all good. Mr. Ivan, thank you for being here. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, 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 whoop. Wait. Yes, Ivan is in the house, and we got the sound. Guys, relax. Yeah. Representing South Africa?
True.
South Africa. But the accent.
Dutch. Meaning
Dutch.
farmer.
Yeah.
First language is Afrikaans.
Yeah.
And of course, growing up, I thought that the whole world only speaks Afrikaans.
Really?
Yeah.
That's how you grew up?
Yes.
Because it's all you know.
Correct. Yes.
And when did you realize?
I think when I was like 14, 15.
That's
because it's
so
a small
interesting.
farming community. Everything is in Afrikaans. Of course, I knew that the English language existed, but being like in the middle of South Africa, how can I say, you're pretty secluded from bigger things.
Correct.
Yeah. So Afrikaans, I still have friends who basically speak Afrikaans, and that's it. And the moment they have to switch to English, it's not that they are stupid. It's just there's no way that they can really just carry on with the conversation. You know, it's everything is just yes, no, that's beautiful,
Limited.
whatever. Very limited, yes.
Yeah, my weird thing when I was younger that I thought the world, this is so stupid, I thought the world was black and white. Because I watched TV and everything was black and white. I think I was like 10 or 11 years old, and I asked my mom, I go, Mommy, when did the world turn into color? And my brother, my older brother, he's like, you're so stupid. Like, those are just the cameras. I was like,
okay.
But yeah, exactly. It was like, that's interesting. But if you were growing up watching I Love Lucy and, old shows like that, like you really think that was, and then your mom's like, oh, that was like 20 years ago, 40 years ago. And you're like, whoa, that's so crazy.
I think talking about old shows, all our shows was dubbed.
Oh,
so that's right. Even like Alf, the little alien dude.
Yeah.
That was purely in Afrikaans. And only when I came to the States, I saw that it is actually a
he speaks
American
English.
show.
He speaks English.
Correct. Like in my head, I never made the correlation between, because you're just so used to what you're fed.
That's what you know.
And that becomes your reality and your norm. And then only later on you figure things out,
That's so wild.
Yeah.
That goes to show you how you're raised and what you're around. And people don't get that. It's very easy for people to judge from the outside and say, hey, man, how come you're not doing stuff differently? And how come you're not working harder or whatever the case is? But there's a saying, I forgot who said it. If you were born and raised the same way that person was, you would do the exact same thing.
Correct.
And people say, not me. No, you're not listening. If you were born and raised the same way, you don't know any different.
Yep.
So that's where the circumstances, which brings me to another point. You were talking about my guest and how open they are.
Oh, yes.
And it's interesting because I really started thinking about that. And I started thinking about what's the link of all my guests, the successful ones, the ones doing marketing or, journalists or attorneys, detectives. And one thing I bring up because I didn't have a father when I grew up. And it's interesting. 99.5, I think maybe one person said they didn't have a father, but everybody had that father figure. And it's just another, I know it's already confirmed, but it was just so far in my studies, it's like, dude, it's 99.5. You have that father figure in your life, you're going to do so much better.
So it's very interesting that you should mention that, because my father passed away when I was 12. Oof. And I'm the youngest of 3 boys and, of course, the favorite. But
of course,
and
hold on, that's this one.
I like the orange button. You're gonna see me reaching over eventually.
Please do.
But I was very fortunate that, like a year or so after he passed away, my barefoot water skiing coach, who also had his boat shop like one town further. We were on our way to the dentist because our town doesn't have a dentist. And on the way back, my mom just stopped and we looked at some skiing equipment. And by the time we walked out, she says, oh, yeah, he'll see you on the weekend. And I was like, what? And basically, Oom Koos, meaning Uncle Koos, took me in with his family. So every weekend I would be with his family on the river. Grew up next to the Vaal River. And for about 5 years. Every weekend I'll do boat shows with him, and just that was my first real father figure.
Yeah.
And of course, he turned out to be a very wise, very humble, very if you wanted to ski, you had to clean the boat.
Right.
You know, so there was a lot of responsibility being with him and his family. But he was my first real father figure, and he's still in my life today. And then when I got married, my wife at the time, Taryn, her dad baptized us, and he became my next father figure. Like, there's 3 people when I see them, I kiss them by saying hello. One is my brother, and then those 2, meaning Jamie, my ex-wife's dad, and Chris. So I've been very fortunate to have an
Mentor
amazing
and guidance.
Yeah, and I think if you've got that in your life,
It's so important.
Yeah, because
It's so important because it's so easy to get lost.
Dude, I used to say things like, men are just scared boys, kind of mindset.
Yeah.
And if you've got a figure in your life that, especially as you become older, like I'm turning 44 in a couple of days,
Happy birthday.
Hey, thank you very much. You share so much more with them. And sometimes, of course, you want the ear. Sometimes you really want the wisdom. Sometimes you want a pat on the back. And sometimes you want to be told,
Yeah.
And it's the that is the most important part of it. Because, of course, our own ambition and our ego and that kind of stuff makes us move forward as men. But having a father figure, it's so important.
It's funny because that I've mentioned this to people, but the word no is more powerful than a yes.
Yeah.
And people respect a no. Because if you're the yes guy, if you're like, yeah, can you do, can you help me? Yeah. People stop appreciating it.
Yep.
People don't respect it. When you say no, they might be like, what a dick, you know?
That's
but, he's got responsibility, or he has to do, hey, can you help me move? No.
Yeah, there's pure wisdom behind the no.
Yeah, there's
why
wisdom.
do you want to bump your head if I'm telling you that it's not going to go as you want it to? And you don't need to know all of it, but if there's respect and love, then you just take it, the no.
Yeah.
So I kind of steered the conversation.
No, this
is
is what my
important
whole
that men speak or just talk or be. I'd like to say normal, not just have the bravados of life.
Well, here's another thing. The reason I love doing this, it's I'm almost at 130 episodes.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you. The reason I love this is how often do you get to talk to somebody from another part of the world in another industry, ask them, can you please turn off your phone and have this intricate conversation? And I don't know, this might end on strip clubs. I don't know. It might end on the moon.
Yeah.
But there's going to be some knowledge, there's going to be some growth or some information of that we want to talk about, that we want to get out there. And people are going to appreciate. A lot of people are just sitting in their car and they just want that company and hearing that information of so-and-so. You know what I mean?
Yeah, something that you can relate to.
Right.
That's a very important thing. Also, we were talking a little bit about motorcycle helmets just before we pressed play. And it's the love for a specific hobby that also pulls you together.
Right.
But you can be riding, but the moment you stop, this kind of conversation continues.
Right.
And that's then what builds the bond.
But even that's the number one reason for motorcycling, right?
Yeah.
But even that's limited. Because how often do people actually ride? Like, I try to ride at least once a week. But that's not even enough.
No.
That's not even enough. And that's me.
Yeah.
Now, how often do people buy a motorcycle and they don't even ride it, and they take it out maybe, they put 1,000 miles on it a year?
Yes.
That's a lot of people. So people are still too busy. So they buy it for that purpose, but don't get to execute it.
Very true.
Which is another thing.
Yeah.
But motorcycles, I mean, have you been to the bike shed?
Of course.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just did a podcast with Dutch again. He was on before. We went to do a podcast.
Yes.
I'm going to publish it next week. But I went to do a podcast of his new updates and new programs, and it's his second year, and I'm a member there. And
have you got your ring?
Yeah, of course. I'm
one.
not wearing it, but are you a member?
No.
Yeah.
But when it opened up originally, I went for the full tour. Because, of course, like the upstairs area of the private bar, and I was thinking, oof, that's where you rub shoulders with fellow enthusiasts.
Absolutely.
And get to be invited places and just be part of a
community.
Community at the end of the day.
A community. And it's a great community. I became a member the day they opened, and ever since then, some of my best friends right now are from the bike shed.
Yes.
And they have events every weekend. They have, I think next week they're doing a casino night where they're going to have dinner and games, and it's just a cool spot.
Yeah.
But I went to talk to Dutch, and I wanted to get the update of how's business, how's LA compared to London.
Correct.
Because London's problems are different than LA's problems,
Yep.
you know, and the economy here is, you know. So that's what we went for. Let me tell you, we started talking for 2 hours. We did not talk about bike shed.
Yes.
We talked about vegans, men's health,
Yep.
exercising, AI, artificial intelligence. You know, we went all over the place. It was pretty wild, but I was recapping and listening to it. I go, what an intricate conversation.
Yeah.
You know, it's deep. And then again, when would I ever get to sit down with the owner of Bike Shed and just
have that,
and have all the employees do not go in this room?
Yes.
They're having a conversation.
Yes.
When would I have Ivan here from South Africa thinking that the world speaks one language and Alf doesn't speak English?
That's
you
it.
know?
Yeah.
Like, it happens here. That's where it happens. What motorcycle? We'll jump real quick on the motorcycle topic since you mentioned it up. So
this is my second Harley. When I grew up, my eldest brother had a couple of motorbikes, but then the one that got me into riding was a Kawasaki, and it was a Thumper, a 500cc. So from the age of like 14 till 18, I had full access to that, and I just loved turning the throttle.
yeah.
And
I'm going to check the camera angle real quick. Go ahead.
oh, cool. And then it was a whole Vespa era. Like eventually I owned like 7 different Vespas. And my one before I came to the States, I had a KTM 530, which
Nice
was
bike.
again just a full-on thumper.
Yeah, yeah.
Loved riding that
Super fun.
thing. She tried to beat me to death once. Like that's why my fingertips off, broke my shoulder. Just didn't make a jump. Very hard moment, dish, but I'm fine. But then coming to the States, I always knew I would have a bike.
Right.
So, of course, I decided, let's go the Harley route. Wanted
The
to
American
buy,
dream.
of course. A little 48. That's what I really wanted, to customize that. Went into the dealership at Huntington for that bike. So, it looks a bit weird. Wasn't too sure what I should get, how much time I will have. And, of course, it's like the owner of my mother and both my brothers are redheads. So the owner of the store, Pepper, he's a redhead. Nice big guy.
Yeah.
So I decided, I like redheads. You know, I'll go with what this guy tells me. So I ended up walking out of an iron. Rode the iron for like 5 weeks. And of course, I'm not a tall guy, but I just couldn't get...
Yeah.
I'm flat out all the time kind of thing. Not that I'm a speed guy, but it's very entry-level-ish kind of thing. Took it back and immediately got the lowrider edge.
So you had purchased it and you traded it in.
Correct.
That's, by the way, 95% of the people that get that bike. Within 3 to 6 months, they're like, oh my God, they outgrow it so quick. They're like,
Yeah, it's a little commuter bar hopper kind of thing. And now I can do distance. I can just ride with the people that I ride with and just have amazing days. Yeah, added the bags, added the thing, added the pegs, customized it to fit my position better, and I absolutely love it.
yeah, it's a great bike. It's a great, that's a Dyna lowrider there. It's a great bike.
Yeah, I like...
What year did you get?
21.
Okay, so you have the Softail suspension with the monoshock.
Yes, and that was just recalled.
Which is awesome.
And they gave me a new nut. I don't know what that whole story was about, but I got a letter, took it in, smoked a cigar, got the bike back, was like, is that it? Yes. So, it's so smooth.
So, a Harley Davidson rider and cigar smoker. That's how we're sitting here, right?
Correct. Yes.
You through Perry. Thank you, Perry.
Yeah, thank you, Perry. Also a cigar lounge. Like, believe it or not, 2 of my best friends here in Los Angeles I met at a cigar lounge, because it's kind of like this, where doesn't matter what walk of life. I know this is a repetitive kind of thing, but you sit and you just have stone cold sober conversations for as long as the cigar is lit.
Right.
So you have a conversation now for 2 hours, a week later, a month later, and eventually start exchanging numbers and thinking, wow, I spend more time with this person than I do with other friends.
Right.
And then it becomes cigar dates and, that kind of vibe, and that's how it goes. So do you smoke cigars?
Yeah. I'm actually trying to recover some. I had a...
What does that mean?
I had a box of cigars. Look, this is terrible.
Oh. Let's see.
So before I open this up,
I
bought this cigar. I bought this humidor.
It's quite impressive. I haven't seen it like that.
Right?
What's the HF?
I'll show you. So I bought this in Cuba. I was in Havana.
Whew.
And when I bought it, I bought Cuban cigars. And I packed it up, and then I had to move. And when I had to move, it was left in storage for 4 years, 5 years, in a cold storage in a dark place.
Yeah.
So now I bought these.
Are you now Boveda packing it?
Now I'm trying to revive them.
Yeah.
With these guys.
Yeah, the Boveda packs.
Exactly, Boveda. Thank you, Boveda. So I don't know how much hope. I'm probably on the 3rd week. I probably have to put some packets now.
Yes. Oh yeah, stack them in the back there.
Super dry. Actually, this one's not as bad as the other ones. The other ones start crystallizing.
There's some impressive cigars over here. The Partagas is quite a cigar.
And I was gonna put more of them, but somebody says do it one at a time, because otherwise the humidity will be on the outside and it'll be dry in the middle. So they said it takes like 2 months or something like that.
You can be very glad that there's none of the beetles and stuff that's in here.
Yeah. What's the grade? What do you think they're savable?
I think so. This has got a lot of flavor still. Sometimes all the oil kind of comes out and then it's just too dry. Yeah. No, I think you'll still get a good smoke out of it.
So I'm going to continue this process for a few more weeks. And it's basically just put one in every week, swap it out. And then I think by week 4, I'll start putting 2 of them.
Oh, yes.
And see. I mean, they weren't stored horribly.
No.
But
they still seem pretty cool because I haven't burst open or anything. Yeah, so you've got very well-aged cigars over here.
And then HF, does it say what HF is?
No, there's a little pouch in here, but...
That's for the key. Check out the key. It's pretty cool. I forgot what HF, but it was I think it's from Spain.
Oh.
But it's very exciting. I bought it from Cuba with Cuban cigars.
The lacquer finish is quite something, which reminds me I bought you a cigar.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Being a Cuban, I'm not the best in Cubans, but this one has got a bit of a story behind it. It comes from Costa Rica.
Okay.
There you go.
This is beautiful.
So, I like flavor in my cigars. And that is a Cuban that actually has got the flavors. You're going to enjoy that one.
Well, hopefully we smoke it together. Hopefully we should meet up with Perry.
That would be amazing.
One of 2 things. Usually we do a ride on Sunday. I got a good group of gentlemen that are just fabulous.
Yes.
And maybe if you're available, meet up with us. We usually meet up at the bike shed.
Yep.
Because of children and everything, we don't spend a whole day riding.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah, we go to the bike shed and then we'll do like Angeles Crest, or we'll just go to the PCH and get a lobster sandwich and then go home.
That's it, yeah.
So usually we try to get home by 1, but we meet around 9 in the morning, 9 or 10, get breakfast, maybe later smoke a cigar. Afterwards, we can meet up with Perry.
Oh, definitely.
What do you think?
Yeah, I've got my local where he goes to in Montreux, Cigar Empire. Really, and we've got our own little dedicated room at the back, and that's where he sent you the photograph out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get Perry.
Throw it in your box over here.
Let's do it.
There you
don't think it'll damage it?
Oh, no. Definitely not.
You know what? I've never done this in my life, but I want to try something real quick. Perry, can you hear us?
Yeah, now I can hear. My phone was going crazy. I don't know why.
Ooh, okay, welcome to the Ride Boundless podcast. We have Perry on the phone.
Yep.
We're just confirming. We were just talking about cigars, and we're wondering what's your schedule Sunday afternoon so we can smoke cigars and meet up.
I'm open anytime.
All right, there you heard it, ladies and gentlemen.
That's Perry, it's Ivan. I finally made it to the show.
Oh, what's going on, Ivan, man? My favorite African.
You see, I told you this.
Yeah, you were saying that ninja, right?
That's it.
Your favorite ninja?
African ninja.
Yep.
And Perry's been a guest on the podcast before. Unfortunately, I did not publish that one.
Oh.
We got too drunk and we kept putting the bottle in front of the camera. So, but
oh yeah, sorry about that.
No, so Sunday we're thinking about, Ivan and I are thinking about going for a quick ride in the morning and then in the afternoon smoke a cigar with you.
Yeah, hit me up. It'll be perfect.
Awesome. We will do that. We will keep you posted. Perry, thank you for calling back and being on the show. Until next time. See you this weekend.
Yeah, see you on Sunday, Perry. You've committed. Now you have to arrive. Otherwise, we're going to say, you know what, that one guy who bloody catfished or what, ghosted us.
Sounds good. I do know how to ride the electrical motorcycle. So.
Yeah, that too will come your direction.
Yeah.
Actually, I've got a seat on the back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like...
No, I don't sit in the back. Come on.
What, you sit in the front? What is going on?
Wow, that's only the second date.
I ride my own bike, man.
Perry. All right, brother. Have a great day. I'll give you a call later on.
All right, thanks. All right, have fun.
Thank you,
Okay, bye, Perry.
Bye.
All right, that was cool.
Now you see?
Now I'm going to have to do more of that. That's how we get this going.
That's it.
Phone is on silent. Let's talk about, we talked about cigars. We made plans. We have motorcycles. We talked about wisdom and father figures. Let's talk about your career. You have a career and you make Super Bowl commercials. What's that about?
That's part of it, definitely. That's, again, another thing that I never really thought was an option when I started out. Or let me rephrase that it would escalate into becoming my new norm. Yes, I've been now 4 years in the States, and I think I've been part of like 9 Super Bowl commercials.
Wow.
Yeah.
Only? I've been here 4 years. Yeah. I got here yesterday, and I did 9 Super Bowl commercials.
It's.
How does that work? Explain yourself.
Sure. Where should I start? Do you want to know the road leading up to where I'm now? Because it's been a 20-year journey, or just
let's start off with what brought you to America, and then how that developed.
Oh, so in South Africa, I've only worked in the film industry.
Okay.
I've never done any other job professionally, so it's not as if I did something and then decided I'm going to do film. I basically finished my studies and started at the bottom in the industry, and then worked my way to the top.
Yeah.
And then my last 6 years in South Africa was the years where I was an art director and kind of everything is freelance, but I was kind of in-house at one of the biggest production houses in Cape Town.
Right.
And in summer we do commercials, and then in winter it turns to series and movies, because our rainy season is in winter, and then you don't have the
landscape
14-hour sunny days to be shooting commercials.
Right.
So I've been fortunate enough with my ex-wife Taryn to be building a little bit of a business out of the industry. She's an exceptional woman when it comes to business, owned a restaurant, very famous restaurant in Cape Town.
Business oriented.
Very much so. And we ended up facilitating the industry by having tools, a panel van, 2 8-ton trucks. At one stage I had an office.
Wow.
And
heavy duty equipment.
Yeah, and it was a lot to manage at the time, but also whatever it takes to make the job easier. And while doing commercials, what happens is, because in South Africa we're service orientated, so the brand comes there, there's a fixed budget. We are a fairly cheap crew in relation to what it is over here, meaning here I am unionized and there it was all non-union work. I also didn't even know that there was this thing as unionized work.
Right.
But in South Africa, I did a feature. After the fact, the producer just said, sorry, I didn't make any money on this thing. No one is getting paid. So for me, it was a hard knock by offering, all the equipment and the trucks and everything. And then I was like, whew, how do you recover from this? That's a bit tough.
Right.
Then fast forward by like 5-6 months, I did another commercial, and it was almost the same kind of scenario, where after the fact, you have to explain the reasons why you feel you need to get paid kind of thing. Right. And that just broke the camel's back, because there's always been two trails of thought back in South Africa. There was the pioneers who just did whatever needed to be done. So if you were art department related, they will have their own prop houses and stuff. But by the time I started, they were a little bit not so much in tune with the current hip and happeningness of, let's say, commercials. A lot of them went to go and hide more in series and features. So it was very difficult to get talking about role models, somebody who was just ethically and morally on par.
Right.
So after a couple of these ticks against me and me trying to be the best that I can be, I knew that my time was up. And what led to that as was I did a feature with Jeff Mann, who did Transformers and Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Jeff Mann.
Jace Mann. Jeff.
Jeff Mann.
Yeah, he's a production designer. So he's done like huge things. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty and Tropical Thunder.
How did you do Tropical Thunder? So great. Transformers, great.
Yeah.
How did you meet him?
He came to South Africa and did a feature there as the production designer. So I decorated for him. And then towards the end of the show, because he was far from his family and stuff, he would spend a lot of time with me. And towards the end of the show, he said to me, can I take you out for dinner? And I said, of course, like, that would be so cool. And at the dinner table, he said to me, Ivan, you're the only guy who was 100% transparent with me in this whole process.
Right.
Because what happens is sometimes there's a lot of requests, like can we have 20 action vehicles on set, but actually there's only 12 available and nobody wants to say something or it doesn't fit in the budget, so only 6 arrives, and it has to just work kind of thing.
Yeah, instead of saying what's going to happen, they kind of just like, oh, he wants 20, here you go.
Correct.
Deal with it.
Correct.
Yeah. And you were up front.
With everything.
Yeah.
And then he said to me, come to Los Angeles. Please come see how we operate. It's though that kind of planted a seed.
Yeah.
And then like a year or so prior to it, I did another feature with Brian Buckley. And he owns Hungry Man Productions. And there's an office here. There's one in London. There's all over the world. And with a production designer with the name of David Skinner. And we did the whole movie, Pirates of Somalia, and it was a huge success. But even like David was the kind of guy who would be very positive about things, and he would work with the information that is given kind of thing. But I didn't really have a lot of chats with him in the 3 years or so before I decided to come.
Yeah.
And then when I came here, of course, I had Jeff Mann on the list who originally planted the seed. And I set up a couple of meetings. And one of them was David. So I was here, I think, 5 days or whatever. And then I got hold of David and he said, well, I'm busy shooting a Verizon ad at Disney Ranch. I can come fetch you the morning. And that's in downtown LA where he lives. And I was literally living 300 yards from where he lives. So he fetched me, we went, I got to go see this big scale of how commercials get done.
Yeah.
In South Africa, if you're the art director, you've got one props master, one PA, and like 4 Nigerians who's literally carrying all the furniture and props around. That's your team. And here it is huge, the art department. You get your own coordinator. You get it's almost like running a movie. So I just caught my jaw thinking who's paying for this?
Yeah.
How the hell is this even possible?
Yeah.
But in any case, by day 2, David was like, so why are you really here? And I said, oh, David, things are a little bit running towards an end. Now I like saying things like, oh, I hit a glass ceiling or whatever. But there is also borderline desperation to try and wanting to grow.
Right.
So he said, it's fine. I will sign under DC Skinner Production Design any paperwork that you bring my way. So you do the legwork and I'll sign. So I'm like, wow, okay. Wow. So I went back to South Africa with this hipple in my step kind of thing, going oomph. I found somebody who's willing to
someone
get
established, not someone.
Exactly.
Not anyone.
Exactly. And it took me 2 years to finalize all the paperwork. And in that 2 years, it was quite a mission because I was busy training for a full Ironman, started a new relationship with, which is now my ex-girlfriend, and at the same time trying to get myself out of the country. Now, very respectful, it is a third world country, so you don't just pick up the phone and say, cancel my phone line, or
right.
I need to hand in my gun, which paperwork do you fill in? And there's the emotional side, there's I had to sell my house, I had to sell my trucks, and there's a specific time that all this can happen, and it can only happen once I've got the paperwork.
Right.
So
when it's real.
Yes. So 6 weeks before arriving here, I did challenge Raf, the full Ironman in Germany. So that also kind of borderline broke me because I would work 6 days a week on a feature film, train from 8 till 11 at night kind of thing, and just trying to maintain that. So it's a lot of vitamins, it's a lot of very healthy food. It's like burning the candle at both ends. A
lifestyle, yeah.
Which is one hell of a coping mechanism, and also a very, how can I say, self-absorbing kind of thing, but it kept me focused. Right. I think sitting on an indoor trainer on a bicycle for hours and running treadmill, and it's a very rhythmical, you swim in a straight line, you run in a straight line, you cycle in a straight line.
It's a discipline.
Oh, definitely.
That's it. It's a discipline that you apply, and by developing it, it applies to other things.
Oh, it does. That's very well said, because working in freelance, when you do a project, you're focused on it. When I don't do a project, I have to keep that momentum up. Otherwise, you don't just want to be sucked into your couch and get a call to say, can you start at 3 o'clock this afternoon? And you're like, oh, that's going to take a lot of effort. So I've run these two parallels in my life of just staying busy to the max, either sport or call it endurance training, and then, of course, work. But to get to your original question of how did I then finally get here, I got here, that was saying goodbye to my mom, saying goodbye to my girlfriend, selling my house, selling my trucks, basically leaving everything behind.
Question, kids?
No.
Okay.
No. The only thing that other than in my household, meaning furniture and stuff, that I sold was my coffee machine. Because I used to have a training partner, a female. She's a urologist, and everywhere that we go, I would have to buy the coffee at the coffee stops, and then it's a coffee and a pie and a whatever. So after 4 years of that, I said to her, you're not getting my coffee machine, you'll pay a half price for this thing. So she still has it. She's very happy.
What kind of coffee machine was it?
What's the Italian?
The Brivio?
No, it starts with a L. I'm stuck on Lerati now. Ilonghi.
Ilonghi? Okay.
That's it. Yeah, push the button.
Yeah, the whole thing, and it crushes the beans, and you tap, and
Exactly. So that was my baby.
And that's all meditation. It's all like.
Oh yeah, it becomes a big part of your life. The good old coffee.
Yeah.
And so when I arrived here, the day that I flew, my ex-wife, she's still my best friend. Her and her husband, she's got 2 kids now, Cedric.
That was
is
your
the
best friend?
husband. She's still my best friend.
She stole your... Wow.
No, she didn't steal my
Oh.
best friend.
I'm like, wow. I was like...
She is still my best friend.
She
So
steal your...
I'm very
I'm
glad
so
that
happy
didn't
we-
get lost in translation. It's like,
Okay.
I don't know.
There we go.
I would like to know what the comments would have been.
She stole my girl. What?
Yeah, like, woo!
She's still your best friend.
Yeah, so 2 days before I flew to America, she was like, you know what, Ivan,
You can have your coffee machine. No, I'm kidding.
fly business class. I said, why? She says, that's how you arrive in the United States. That's how
right.
you set yourself up for life. Not that from now on I only fly business class, but it's the concept of you walking away from so much. Like I said to my mom and my ex-girlfriend, you know, in a day's time, I'm in a new country having to establish myself all over again. You guys are still going to the same store, buying the same milk, life goes on. You're like kind of heartbroken because I'm not around, but
Life moves on.
I am on a whole different mission. So I have to kind of cut it off right there. So of course, while sleeping in a business flight, that kind of cuts it off. But arriving at the airport with my bicycle, 2 bags, and a laptop, that's when I figured out, oh, shit's getting real.
Reality sinks in.
I don't know.
If it's going to work.
Ooh,
What am I doing? Here?
That's the thing. Like,
Yeah, reality sinks in.
dude, and if it doesn't work, do you know how difficult it is then to
Go back.
and pick up? How do you just randomly rebuy a house or
Like I get
rebuy
goosebumps thinking
trucks?
about it,
Or
yeah. Oh.
the relationships you can still rebuild. I'm talking about work, all of that. But it was pretty a sobering moment. Having said that, I got the opportunity to then PA on a job that David was doing with Capital One, and they had Samuel L. Jackson there, and Ridley Scott was the director.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's your first one?
So I am standing
poor
there.
thing. It must have been so hard with your luggage and bicycle.
Do you know how good the crafty is on these big productions? You know,
Yeah.
it's not just a bowl of chips and peanuts.
No, it's a
like,
gourmet.
oh,
There's a
yeah.
chef's.
That's
Chefs. Not a chef.
I used to take so many photographs of just the setups of that kind of stuff. But so that first production, I was like, okay, I'm here. I got to see stuff. But my relationship with David was never a scenario of, now you are my bread and butter. It's never been that. So I managed to meet another art director on that production, who I spoke to a lot. His name's Simon Morgan, and he's like the best, most well-established art director there is in the commercial field here in Los Angeles, meaning Hollywood, or in this topography. And we spoke, and I said to him my background and all of that, and he says, you know what, Ivan, come with me onto the next project, and come ask questions, come PA for us, but now you'll have access to me. And I went like, whoa, dude. One of those moments.
Yeah.
So, Robert, the thing is, if it's like somebody coming from India and saying, oh, they've done a commercial there or a feature film or whatever, you don't know that person's skill set. He could be a human sandbag for, you know what I mean? There's no way of correlating his skill set into what it's meant to be.
It's not even, you're not even able to verify most people's skills that are from here, you know, let alone from another country, another culture, another, you know.
Correct. So there's another thing now that you mentioned, the verification of skill sets. That's where the whole union thing came in, which I also had to get my head around it, because back in South Africa, like I said, you start loading trucks, and then you can, art department-wise, there's a couple of steps you can go to the top. And as you know, with most things in life, it's about experience that eventually gets you there. The more you take on, or you wait for the person above you to die. One of kind of those kind of steps.
Right.
But
or you kill them. I'm kidding. Or you push them down the stairs. It's jokes.
yeah, jokes. Where's your joke button?
You know, what is it? Old roots die long or something.
Oh, yeah,
bad roots last.
It's just a whole different path. But
Something.
here in America, at least if you're a set dresser and you're under that specific union, that's, I'd like to say, the job that you do.
Right.
If you're a props master, you're in a different union, that is the job that you do. So, of course, I needed to be in the Art Directors Guild, or the ADG, the local 800 union. But once again, now I'm standing shoulder to shoulder like someone like Simon Morgan, and I'm like, Mr. Jack of all trades, how do I even, like, I need to figure out what his job really is.
Yeah.
Then I need to figure out which tools he uses, like computer skills wise. Then how he operates verbally. You know, you can't just say, hey, you fool, move that. You have to say, what would it take for you guys to
get this done?
Diplomatic and never having to undermine anybody or anything. Basically on the
which quick question. In South Africa, there is that hierarchy, right? Of like, this person you speak this way, and then that place you speak that way.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, because it's a hierarchy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
yeah, here you have to be more diplomatic and
very much so. So I then got to rub shoulders with Simon, PA'd on that job. Spoke to the production designer on that specific job. She gave me very good tips, like I had to get a better website, you know, all those kind of things. And then fast forward by almost 2 years of me doing PA work, it was the only way to get to know people. There's a couple of targets you want to hit. You want to get to know the coordinators on the art department because they work for various production designers. And that hopefully is a way in. So if you assist them really good, then hopefully they'll take you on to the next one and you meet another production designer, another one. But I was unionized like 3 years ago. But like I said, it almost took 2 years for me to level up my skill set because also union-wise, now all of a sudden there's a very high daily rate connected to your name. So you can't just be winging it at that time.
At that budget, yeah.
Exactly. And there's a lot of responsibility.
A lot of eyes.
Oof, it's
and
never,
a lot of talk.
Definitely. Another term that I learned while being here is called kicking the can down the road. I've never even heard of that term until I came here, and you sit in meetings and nobody really takes responsibility. It doesn't matter, but a term kicking down the can down the road. So in any case, I managed to 3 years ago do a who was it again? Not Dua Lipa. She did Doja Cat. Sorry, I almost forgot. Doja Cat did a Pepsi commercial, and then I assisted on it, but the production designer and the director didn't see eye to eye 3 days before the shoot started.
Oh, no.
So the production designer walked off the job.
No.
So they were like, now we need to replace the crew. I said, that's me. And I go, what?
That was your window.
They're like, no, the whole crew is loyal to the production designer, meaning the art department moves. I said, well, I'm technically a PA, so I carry a lot of knowledge because of my eyes, ears, and whatever. I'm staying. And then they're like, as what? I said, as the art director. And like, how can that be? I said, because I'm unionized as an art director, I know enough to take this project on, which I did, because then I could call in a lead man, a different dresser, a different props master, a new coordinator. That was my first job. So I got 5 days at maximum, call it rate, as an art director. And then I was like, oh my goodness. Scheisse. Now it started.
Scheisse.
I cannot now revert
That's not South
back.
African.
No, that's German. I cannot revert back to just being the PA. Now I have to sell myself.
Because you got a lot of eyes watching.
Correct. And nobody really appreciated this PA to art director quick move. you know.
I wonder, this is my random thought. I wonder if there was like two rich white men, well, whatever, two rich men looking at you and they're like, oh, I bet you $1 he can't do it. I bet you know what I mean? Like, good luck. Here's a $1 million, $2 million project.
Yeah, like, let's see how he pulls it out.
This is going to be fun.
Which, come to think it nowadays, that probably was the scenario.
Probably. Yeah.
And I started then doing art directing, and now it's been, like 2.5 years of being an art director. And of course, David and myself, we're always in contact, and I've done majority of my Super Bowl commercials with him. So he only, after a year or so of me art directing, said, come, let's see how we can mold you. And talking again about, like, he's only 10 years older than me, but I mean, he's got so much knowledge. So every project that I'm on, he just, let me say it this way. In the past, I've had some issues with, let's say, my construction teams or whatever. You cannot sit them down after the fact for let's talk about the project, how we can better ourselves. They take it too personally. And if you say one thing wrong,
emotional damage.
Emotional damage.
That's a good one.
Correct.
Yeah.
With David, every project, during the project or after, we have these lengthy conversations of how can I facilitate you better? How can we be in shorthand with what your vision is and how I can facilitate it? What skill sets do I need to do? What do I need to understand differently?
It's like you got to be a therapist or psychiatrist approaching everybody.
Pretty much. And I'm fortunate enough to get that guidance from David, to stay in that. Robert, I live in my own skin and I'm a bachelor. So I cannot rest on my laurels where I go, oh, look at me, woohoo. No, I have to stay on top of things. And if you're in that 1, 2, 3% at the top, the staying, I'd like to say sober-minded and the best version that you can be. I only have myself as a product. I am Ivan Fraser. That's, I don't have a truck or the tools or an office or nothing anymore. It's only the experience and the knowledge.
You are the talent.
Correct. So I have to better myself on each and every production, and then thank God to somebody like David who will spend time and energy and share knowledge. I'm just keeping on. That's how you eventually do 8 or 9 Super Bowl ads, by just staying on top of it.
Being consistent.
Yeah.
And taking advantage of opportunities.
Correct.
And I think what I get out of the message that is the biggest take is showing up. You mentioned earlier where you were like, without the discipline, you make the excuses of like, I don't want to get off the couch.
Yep.
I don't want to go. That's a lot of work. I don't want to do this. And the funny part about that is that's a double-edged sword, because one, you're fighting your mind about being lazy.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it's like going to the gym. Nobody wants to go to the gym. We force ourselves to go to the gym. Some days we like it, most days we don't. But what happens with your mind is your mind's like, don't go to the gym. You get hurt, and it's cold outside, and it's rain, and this, that. But at the end of the day, your mind says, you fucking idiot. You didn't go to the gym. You're so fat and lazy. Your mind plays that double game. But the takeaway that I'm getting on this is you showed up.
Yes.
And when it didn't pay, you still did the work.
Yep.
And when it didn't pay again, you still did the work. And when you had an opportunity, you took it. And when you had to make a decision, you executed. So
that's extremely well said.
And that's one of the expressions that people undermine a lot, where it's as simple as show up.
Correct.
Show up. I think it's in Will Smith's book. Will Smith talked about it in his book. He was doing the rap career. He was doing great, blah, 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 blah. Comes to L.A., and I think he did like one TV appearance, and then he had nothing. And then he had a girlfriend. He was staying at the girlfriend's house, and then there was a point where she's like, hey, enough is... Oh, one of his friends died, so he was like bummed out. They like killed him in Philly.
Yeah.
And then there was just a moment in his career where he just wanted to hold his girl and be in bed, and after a few months, she was like, stop. Yes. Stop. Go. You're friends with Arsenio Hall. Go over there. And he's like, what am I going to do there? He goes, just hang out.
Yep.
hang out, say hi, shake hands, just show up. He goes, but nothing's going to come out of that. And long story short, he met one person.
Yep.
They changed contact information. He got a phone call 4 or 5 months later. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith. And it was a girlfriend saying, get out there. Yes. And the thing is sometimes we don't have the girlfriend or the parent or the father or the brother to say, hey, get off your ass.
Yes.
You know, and that's huge.
Well, now that you say it,
you can't just blame it on your good looks and your hair.
No, which is a wig, so by the way.
It's a what?
A wig.
No way.
No, that's it.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
There's no way. You're born with hair like that.
You're 100% correct. Like, one of my favorite sayings is also, every day is a test of willingness.
Right.
And it's, like you say, it's about showing up. That's why I also surround myself with, like, athletes. Because if you cycle at 6 a.m, that means that's when the train goes. You don't arrive at 6 and then find a tap for your water. No. That happens the night before, filling your bottles and stuff. You're there at 5:30, stretching it out, and, you know, there's discipline. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And that is something that definitely is part of a lifestyle, and not just a new summer fad because I want a sexy body or whatever the case may be.
For summer.
That's it. Yeah. And that discipline also, that reminds me way back then when I was younger. In our little town, my parents we had a farm, but we also had a liquor store, what we call a bottle store. So if I wanted a new wakeboard, and a wakeboard is 800 rands, I could work and make bags of ice or help sell the alcohol in the liquor store during a Friday afternoon. Then I would do the kitchen at a friend of mine's parents' restaurant at night, work there. And then on Saturday, I would work in a manufacturing plant for cow supplements as a forklift driver for my uncle. So that's 60 rands I could make in a weekend. But if I was at the halfway mark of 400 rands to the 800, my parents would give me the wakeboard. We would always meet halfway. Same with a pair of sneakers.
Because you put in your effort and you went out of your way. And
correct. So that gets instilled from a young age that I don't want to say it's by the sweat of your brow, kind of you have to swing a pick or an axe, you know, and
right.
But it's definitely, I think a lot of people will tell you the 10 reasons why something doesn't happen. I'm more like, if you live in expecting things to happen, then you can definitely pounce on those opportunities. And yes, there's bad stories and then there's coincidental stories and whatever. But
hero stories.
Correct, but staying consistent is the most important. You know, my journey is definitely not over. Like, I will keep on growing, keep on being the best that I can be in a lot of ways. I'm also go through the ups and the downs, don't get me wrong. If I finish a project for one whole day, I basically just have to lie down and watch TV.
Right.
Just to recoup from being that bloodhound of information, you know. It's
right.
Just to call it detox from just that overstimulation of information.
Yeah. Two things come to mind. One, Super Bowl commercials. I had a roommate back in the days, and he's a director and is really good at his craft. And one day I brought him a deal that it was a project called The Real Thing. I got a little producer credit on that, which was awesome. But Mario Andretti, the race car racer, he showed up in it, which was awesome. And this guy built this car, and it was a Boss 494 motor. There was only like 9 made for Mario Andretti. But when they installed it in the car, Mario Andretti couldn't get a lap because it was so powerful that the Mustang was a unibody. It was one piece. It didn't have a separate chassis. Yeah. So when he tried to go around the track, it would just, and then they just got rid of the motor. Long story short, I met a guy, he bought the motor, and he got a builder, and this builder was building like this $600,000, with this motor, 494, badass thing.
Yes.
My point is, the project paid okay for us back, 14 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But he was hesitant, and he was like, I don't want to do this. And I go, well, why not? He goes, because I want to make movies. I go, like make movies. This is just side money. It's just a little project. He goes, you don't understand. If I work into this, there's a big chance that I'm going to get stuck making little commercials or little small docs.
Correct.
And then I was like, get out of here. Well, guess what? He got stuck. Not stuck, because he gets paid very well, but now he does commercials for Lincoln and Ford and all that stuff.
Yes.
And he's very happy. But then it's like, well, what happened to the movie dream? So my question is, is that a real thing? Will you be not stuck, but is that going to be your main focus, commercials? Or do you still see yourself wanting to make a movie afterwards?
That's a very interesting question. Of course, the answer is yes, just based on the level of creativity. Of course, in features and series, you get to create a world and be more creative. What I'm saying is commercials is such a specialized field because you're dealing with agency client, and of course,
and it's so compact.
Yes, it's a specific. It's a specific language. It's a specific. For all the listeners, I can also say what my responsibilities are. For instance, it's of course we get a director's treatment, and that gets broken down based on whatever locations gets found. We try and keep the circus together, the whole shooting crew. So you can't go shoot half a day in Santa Monica and the other half in downtown.
Or Palm Springs. Whatever.
Correct. So sometimes you have to bring a location closer or alter something specific. So once that's been established, we would pull up a budget. And that's man days. That is what it will take to build a set.
Transportation, food,
everything. Yeah. And that gets handed in, and that is then your original pitch. So if that gets given a green light, then we can start on the actual project where, of course, later on the storyboard comes in. But the agency will send you, if we're doing a commercial for Coca-Cola, this is the brand packet. So you can't alter our typography or change the color of the red or have blue in the commercial because maybe subliminally people think it's Pepsi. Or so you're very much stipulated, I'd like to say contractual wise, but to the brand.
Right.
If you shoot a vehicle, you can't just shoot it from the front. They'll tell you the new headlights with the dimming function or the dashboard is the most important. So only a 3/4 can be shot, and we can't see it next to a guy that's got a punk because maybe people will think now we're only selling to a punk minority or whatever. So there's all these brand guidelines and things. But my main job is then also to build the sets. Bring the action vehicles. I oversee graphics, the manufacturing of it. If we shoot at Warner Brothers backlot, for instance, and we've got all those buildings, everything needs to get repainted. All the window shop fronts need new
logos
signage.
Or decals or
So at the end of the day, I end up making a whole presentation, which is a visual art department, including illustrations of what the location or place will look like after it's been altered or modified. And that visual representation that is like 60 pages long then mimics your budget. So if we are requesting $500,000 for art department, they need to kind of see what it gets them visually.
Right. You have to create value for it.
Correct. And that is my biggest responsibility in the union commercial world. And the moment you flick to series or movies, it's more just about the construction side, but creating worlds. I don't want to say all I do is plug fireplaces and build doctors' offices, but it's very brand specific. And of course, I would like to be part of something big again. In South Africa, I could switch between the two, and there's only a couple of people who had the aesthetics of working in commercials, because this week you'll work with the Swedes, 2 weeks later you'll work with the Americans, then with the Germans. So you had to stay very focused, and then wintertime series or movies, and it's freer, it's more creative. It's just as hardcore, but the obvious question would be, it would be amazing. Imagine me catching my jaw here, being exposed to the scale that we do commercials now, I would love to be part of huge, like, going to Atlanta for 6 months a year and see.
Imagine they offer you your next big movie, your dream come true, and they're all South Africa. You're like,
so I've jokingly in the past said, please let me go there so I can help whip people into shape. And that, I know that's a very arrogant statement, but let's just alleviate the bullshit.
Right.
Let's just manage expectations.
Yeah.
And having an insider's, I could become that guy.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, features, that would be amazing. I think that's a natural progression, or that will always be the longing.
And it seems like it seems like it's even busier now than ever with all these, Netflix productions, Apple productions, Amazon productions, Universal, MGM, blah. I mean, I had a good friend of mine. He's an actor, Michael Beach, and he was on the podcast maybe like 6-7 episodes ago.
I listened to that one. That was a really good, insightful one.
Yeah, he's awesome. And, we talked about it on there where we talked about he thought he was getting to an age because he's been acting 40 years or something. He's like, when he turned 57 at the time, he was like, I think there's not going to be any work for me. Like that was a real concern because at one point in Hollywood, there was a point where you reach and it's like, all right, see you later.
Yeah.
But now there's just so much.
Yes.
There's so much that it's not far at all.
No, and way back then when I was part of series, it was seen as a B-rated thing.
Right.
Where now it is full-on productions. You cannot distinguish between a feature film and an episode of a series. Of course, we consume it at a way faster pace and rate.
Right.
But there's a lot of work. There definitely is a lot of work. Also, I never thought, so I'm like interrupting myself, that I would go from third world facilitator to living in Los Angeles and being at this scale and size and be able
in 4 years
and be able to think about the next thing and the next thing because it feels kind of limitless.
Right.
I've worked with people where you look at their IMDb profile, and then they were a PA, and then a shopper for something, and then a decorator for 3, and then they production designing the biggest movies. And then when working with them, I always ask the questions like, how did it happen? Like, it doesn't seem normal, and it is just that true grit, speaking to the right people, educating yourself, and just taking it on.
Showing up.
There you go.
Showing up.
Yep.
I got a random question. I don't know. I got 2 random questions. My first one. I've met many people. I've always lived in LA.
Yeah.
But I've met many people from different lives. So if you listen to this podcast, obviously you'll hear that.
Yeah.
But that story of an outsider coming into the country and what they accomplish in 5 years or 10 years is so amazing. And then when you look at I don't want to say the average American or the typical American, but a big population of the American are just so caught up on a job.
Yes.
And, I've said the statistic many times, but there's a statistic there was a study that Americans in their dying bed, they interviewed them and they said, what's the top 10 things you regret in life? And this is people that are 70, 80 years old in their deathbeds. And the 2 that stuck out was like the top 3 for me. And it was, I didn't tell the person I love them enough.
Yeah.
And I didn't quit my job on time.
Oof.
I wish I would have quit my job.
Yes.
So my point is, you have so many people that come here
Yes.
from South Africa, from Europe, from Australia, from India, from China, from everywhere. They come.
Definitely a melting pot of nationalities.
It's a humongous melting pot.
Yeah.
But the amount of success, like, I don't know if there's a study versus people that come in and how successful they make it versus people that are here. But personally in LA, it's pretty fucking high. What is that drive? What do you think that is?
Oh, you see, now you're touching on something that's like
sensitive.
I think it is unique, of course, to every single person. But
right, maybe I can't even generalize.
No. But what it is growing up in South Africa in the apartheid era, I never knew that the position that I was in is probably the best position for anybody on the face of the planet.
Prestigious, yeah.
Correct, because I was literally born white and I had all the privileges. Then if you look at our black community, which had none, in actual fact, everybody was sent to the army for 2 years for one reason and one reason only, is to protect the borders and to be used as the muscle on behalf of the government. So if that's not dictatorship, I don't know. But I mean, there's some horrific stories. All my friends' parents who went to the army, they're all alcoholics just because of what was requested of them.
And
that kind of vibe. Correct.
And the abuse.
Exactly. So touching on that, you kind of see what the alternative in life is. If you don't apply yourself, it's literally starving to death. That's it. So for me coming here, let me rephrase. Sometimes people say, let's go back to South Africa and stuff. And I say, you won't be able to deal with the human suffering. That's it. Like, I can take you to all the 5-star hotels and national parks and all that kind of bullshit and to my friends' houses and ski on the river. But the level of human suffering that there is too much to physically comprehend. We've got like 60 million black people, 3 million white. And wherever we go, you'll see white pretty much. All the black people are either in the garden or living in a township. There's a couple who's now risen up and goes to clubs and pubs and bars and drive cars and whatever. But that's one generation.
Right.
So
if you look historically.
Yes. So for me, I never, ever. Sure, that sounds bad when you say it 3 times. But
hey, hold on. I think I won. Never, ever, ever, ever. Say it. Never. No, let's lighten it up. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. That sounds like my alarm in the morning.
That's what you wake up to? That would put me to sleep.
No.
That's like, please wake up, but it's okay.
What's the purple button?
South
they
Africa.
Were just crickets.
Oh, yeah. I've never been to South Africa yet. What's this one? I forget what this. Okay.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah.
You
so never, ever.
Yeah.
Eat Diet Coke.
Would I want to go live there again?
Yeah.
And I can break it down into 10 reasons, but most of them are personal to me.
Right.
And I think one of the biggest reasons is there's no rockets to the moon flying from over there. There's no this growth that we are referring to there. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying it's in a lesser amount. So grabbing onto the opportunity could be either fear-driven or driven by you want more. And more isn't just the Jeep that I drive and a Harley that I have and all these discussion points. It is, I can dream about working on Thor. And guess what? I can pick up my phone and phone somebody and most possibly, hopefully, be part of something like that. But if you
take a picture with Chris Hemsworth
Hey.
and put it on your Tinder account and
That's-
be like, this guy.
Yeah. But if you're so far removed and so on the other side of the world and stuck with so much political problems and just humanitarian problems, you are just treading water.
Right.
And that is what I don't ever want to be.
Treading water meaning just surviving.
Literally. I love to flourish. I love to travel. I love to see things. I love to meet people, which is also a big, like it's part of my personality and stuff. But I just can't see myself being in that mindset of, this isn't going and that's not going. And, there's no electricity for 2 days and those are all reasons for stuff not to happen.
No.
And I don't like stacking up reasons for stuff not to happen. And that's easier said now that I'm so far removed. I still have my mom there. I still have friends there. I'm not negative towards the country. I'm just saying where I don't want to be. Because
Right.
I've been able to establish myself in where I want to be.
You have a vision.
Correct.
You have a vision. You have direction. You have a compass.
And Robert, the people that I meet and interact with are all aligned with that. But having said that, yes, there's a lot of Americans who unfortunately, and that's possibly a political thing where there's unemployment. And what's the one if your back is sore and you stay out of work
Disability.
for 6 months? And like there's
And then
all
if
these
you're pregnant and like
safety. I've had people saying now they can't work next week because then they lose their unemployment. I'm like, so you want to limit your growth to what the government gives you for free?
yeah.
Am I missing something? And it's because I come from a background where you get given nothing. You get given two choices. Either give it full horns moving forward or die. Literally, that's your two options. We don't have 20 credit cards.
Die. Or die.
Yeah, what's that one? Oh, it's a louder version.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and if I say and die, it's just because you see that so much. That's
So-
the thing. So
so-
I'll take on every single opportunity that comes my way here.
I do. You see, that's awesome because
Yeah.
I've wanted to bring up this conversation to people, but I don't know how to approach it. I don't,
Yes.
and you just said it. You know,
Yes.
and what I believe that people don't understand when you have enough benefits, that enough benefits will keep you from being productive. It's almost a curse.
Correct.
It's almost a curse because there's a comfort, and it's not even comfort.
Yeah.
It's not even comfort. It's just literally like, hey, here's food, money, and a roof.
Yes.
And that's enough where people are like, you know, because I know people that are in Section 8. I know people that, you know, which is a government incentive for rents and stuff. I know people that get the food stamps and all that stuff. And great, whoever needs it, needs it.
Yes.
But I know people that don't want to get out of it. And they say that.
Correct.
I can't work.
I
Because
know
if I
of
work,
guys who never marry their girl that they're with because they get all the benefits for the
They-
child, and grandma's toenails gets clipped, and now there's another, I don't know how many thousand a month for caring coming their way. And there's
Yeah.
definitely a way of riding the system. But why do you want to focus on riding the system for financial gain when you can use all these tools to your advantage in
I
life?
I think there's also like a government incentive where the government's encouraging this. You know, there's
Yeah.
a lot of that. You know, oh, there's a family problem. Let us know. We'll send the police.
Yes.
Your husband's in jail now. It's okay. We'll give you some support. Oh, okay. Move into this area with everybody else. And
Yes.
there is something there.
Yes.
There is something there.
But not all people are just out to ride that train.
Right.
I must say that
That's not the question. The question originally is why do so many people that come here become so successful?
Yeah,
But you just said it.
Yeah,
It's not. It's easy for me to look at you and be like, bro, 4 years? Are you, dude? That's amazing. Was that magic? How did you do that?
Yeah.
But then you look at the way you were raised and what you had access to and the options, and then racism or no racism,
Yes.
minorities, abuse, not abuse, medical, no medical. Maybe like nobody knows the back story, and that's another eye opener that I never got into the details because I've done it myself. Where I'm like, all right, so and so just came from Armenia, I have a lot of Armenian friends. And within 6 months, they already have a business, a brand new car, a new place, and you're just like, "What?
How now?
Like how?
Yeah.
Like how did you do that?"
Yeah.
But we don't know their background.
Yeah. They always had that drive. They could now just completely live it out. And of course, there's more feet here as well. So your clientele is more. There's a lot of their friends and family that's very established, so they fall in with it and they just flourish.
Right.
And that's how the what's it called, fresh off the boat mentality kind of is. Yeah.
And usually those people are obviously know what they don't want, and they know what they do want. They're more driven.
Correct.
I got a random two more random questions.
Yes.
You know Mr. Beast, right? The YouTuber, the kid.
No.
This guy does like $1 million sets for a YouTube video. Just for a YouTube video. He's the most YouTube kid in the... He's not even a kid anymore. He's probably like 27 now.
And it's called Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast.
I've got some homework.
Oh, please watch him. This guy did... One of his biggest productions was he redid the set of Squid Games. Okay. And he got like 1,000 people to participate in a real-life Squid Game thing. Wow. And it was, I mean, millions and millions and millions. Everything he produces. And then interesting, I like another thing that he did. What he did was he has all this content and they all blow up. I'm talking about 500 million, 600 million, huge.
Yes.
He's like, how can I maximize this? So you know what he did? He hired voice actors from different countries to redo the video for that country. So he would get the Spider-Man voiceover for Chinese, and then he applied it to that, and now his same video, he just duplicated it and got China. And then he got the Spider-Man or Superman for the Spanish community with the same video. So this is why they call him Mr. Beast. The guy's the best.
Yeah.
The reason I'm bringing him up is because recently he went to Africa.
Yep.
And I think he did, I want to say 100 water wells. He installed 100 water wells in different parts.
In different villages and different
villages.
places.
And he paid for it, and then he built a couple bridges, and, you know, like, he's doing great stuff. And there was a foundation that was kind of offended and said, hey, how come the white Mr. Beast comes here and does this, and he gets all this attention, and we get no attention?
Yes.
And I wanted to see what your thought of that would be, because it was kind of like, well, because he installed 100 whales, you know, and brought water to thirsty people that die from thirst.
I think NGOs has got a lot of backing, but they also stretch it out into oblivion. You know, and sometimes they have a little bit of a separate reason for being there, where somebody like Mr. Beast comes in and he just bloody does it.
Yeah.
So maybe that is part of it, but now that you say a couple of wells and bridges, it just shows you the basics of what people need and the need that there is. You know? Like water. Even a flushing toilet, that is something that I think 30 million people back in South Africa just doesn't have access to. And we are smallest little pee flush, you know. So good for Mr. Beast. You'll be very impressed by him. I like that mindset. That's important, because that's the basics that people need.
That's the basics. And then my last question for this podcast, I don't know if you want to get into it, but I want to get your opinion on it. I want to talk about a major failure.
A major failure?
Major commercial failure.
Oh, hit me. What is that?
Budweiser.
So,
what are your thoughts on Budweiser? And the reason I thought about this is because this is the first time I have a conversation about the entertainment industry.
Yes.
And it made me realize how much you do have to be a therapist and psychiatrist, and how you have to understand what each thing represents and how it's going to affect the people that view it. Yeah. Is it going to make them happy? Is it going to make them angry? A commercial is almost like you have to get a response.
Yes.
And it's, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry,
yep,
I love it, I hate it, you know, whatever. What is your opinion of the Budweiser commercial, if you want to talk about it comfortably?
So,
because it's one of the biggest commercial failures ever, I think.
So you'll have to give me more context. What do you mean by the Budweiser? The
transgender community, what they did? You didn't see that?
Oh, no, is that the one where no one now buys the beer?
Yeah.
Not even at Sturgis or...
Nobody. You never heard the full story?
No, I never heard the full story, but I got the general gist of it. I know that Kid Rock shot up a couple of beers and then steamrolled them, and then that kind of happened.
Right.
But I never saw the original commercial that set it off. Like, oh, we're not supporting this.
So that was like oh, they're just explaining it. So this was the transgender, and they put her image.
I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever.
They put her face on it.
Okay. There,
And
Kid Rock.
there, that's set up.
Yes. There you go.
It's like right now what I think Elon Musk said it. Elon Musk said it. I just forgot what was the context. But it's like the guy that's running Disney.
Oh, yes.
Okay? Actually, it's David Pat. It's Pat David or something that said it. He goes, you're messing with the people. You're choosing an enemy in a sense when you start going to a certain community. And that enemy is the parents of the kid. The parents of the kid is the one that turns on the TV,
Correct.
is the one that buys the Disneyland tickets, is the one that drives on parks and all that stuff.
Yes.
And when you're going to start having, transgender in a theme park, encouraging girls to dress up like boys and boys like princesses,
Yes.
now you're starting a war with the parents, and the parents are going to say, no way.
Yeah.
And now if you look at Disney's major loss, Disney is, billions of dollars they've lost. So I'm not saying to choose or not choose, but to try to force an agenda on other people, it seems like it's bad.
Yes.
What would I want from your opinion? In a commercial research, how do you avoid incidents like that on other projects?
Oh.
And again, this is something
No,
I might
what happens is way back then when mobile phones came out, a lot of the commercial was how it flips open, which button to push, mom phoning, voice recognition. Then it went to lifestyle, kids in a convertible on their way to Palm Springs through the desert and doing little videos. It wasn't about the actual phone anymore. So there's like these transitions. But they should have seen, because by the time we get it, all that research must have been done, because it's not
they have a team.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's not the first and only one that the agency pitched to the client.
Right.
So it's as if it was given a green light with the like, this will be good for us. And then when it folds back, I presume that agency don't longer represents Einheiner Push on the next campaign.
Right. So basically, you're an executor.
I'm an executor.
You're
definitely.
You're not doing the script writing. You're not passing it through legal teams.
No.
You're doing the thing. You are.
That's it. We are the
the executor.
Executor. Yes, yeah, we are on the production side. And unfortunately, some stuff can blow up.
Of course.
One that didn't blow up, that was quite a good one, was Capital One with John Travolta as Father Christmas.
Right.
That has now been a huge success. And let's say it wasn't a huge success. I still got paid.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's not that I'm distinguishing myself from I only take on the accolades or whatever. But the chances of it, especially with today and the social media and the cancel culture and just things like Elon bought Twitter, you know what I mean? So he's the biggest
platform
in the world. So gone are the days of owning the newspapers, back in the days of smoking cigarettes and having endless whiskeys in the New York Times and stuff. Now it's one big global thing.
You mean LA Times? Where?
Yeah. Oh yeah, where am I now? West Coast. Yeah. So it's just so much power in what goes and what doesn't go, and nobody.
And then there's a point that nobody really knows what's gonna trigger or not trigger.
Exactly. That's why I never want to become famous or rich. Because they're going to start like, oh, but he said this, he said that. And you're like, but that was taken out of context 20 years ago. So now I lose my house and my everything based on that. And that is unfortunately a very harsh reality of what's happening today. Like, there's definitely envelopes that shouldn't be pushed as far. Nobody likes a bearded Cinderella. Or I don't. Let me rather rephrase it to that. And it would freak me out if I had kids and had gone to Disneyland as well. I would immediately just not go anymore, just based on a very basic principle.
Right.
So, and even that is unique to how you were grown up, your belief system, your tolerance
Your
to
religion,
bullshit, your
belief, so many things.
Yeah. So if that one failed for them and they took a big knock, sorry to hear. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that is the power of advertising. That's how strong it is. Like, it's insane. Like, how many people actually follow through and take visual cues.
Watch it? Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
All right, and then one more. I got to get in there. What's your favorite commercial? What like growing up till now, what's a commercial that you're like, that was just so good?
Wow. That's an interesting one. We used to have a commercial for Pantene back in South Africa where this cowboy stops by the water and his horse is busy drinking, and then he takes his cowboy hat off, and it's just this like, like he's been riding for days, and then he dips his hair in with the perfect Pantene bottle, and he does it, and then out comes this Indian on his thing. And he's like checking him like, what the hell? This is a good time to pounce on him or slit his throat or whatever. And you think it's going to happen. And then, nope, they share a Pantene bottle because now it's like a little bit Brokeback Mountain kind of.
That's a pretty good commercial.
Yeah. Then there's like, that was a very good one growing up. And one of the art directors that I used to work with right in my beginning, she actually did it. And really? I was like, what? Like, now it becomes tangible, this whole commercial industry. Like, wow, who would have thought I would ever be in the presence of? But marketing-wise, there's the classic old Pepsi machine and then 3/4 and then putting the two Pepsi cans on top of each other so that the kid can stand on them together. That's extremely clever. Yeah. If it was up to me, I would take the whole Harry Potter, which is the one with the Eye of Endor at the top. It's a Harry Potter, or what's the other one?
I'm not sure.
The Hobbit.
The Hobbit.
I would have taken that 3 episodes and right at the end taken that ring, Coca-Cola machine, put it in there. That would have been the longest commercial in the world, but I bet you Coca-Cola would have flourished if there was a Coca-Cola machine at the top of the thing. So, yeah.
Or the old classic Budweisers with the frogs. Budweiser?
I haven't seen those.
So they had they always had these 3 frogs, and they did multiple of these commercials, and it'd be like a swamp or something.
Yes.
And then one frog would be like Wise, and the other one would be Bud, and then another one would be They're like Bud, Wise, and then they would tune in. They would tune in.
Yes.
But there was 2 male frogs, and then a female frog comes in. So one's like Bud, and then the girl's like Wise, and then Bud, Wise, and then they see the girl, and then he goes Bud, and the girl goes Wise, and he goes It was so
dumb, you can't think that they can stretch that out into version 7 eventually.
Oh, there was like so
frog
many
speech,
yeah, but those were fun. Ivan, until next time. I really appreciate you coming.
Thank you for the opportunity. I mean, it was
hour and 35 minutes.
Is that a record?
I had 3 hours.
Oh, well, let's push all your buttons then till
of drinking. Oh,
the one that didn't make it.
Yeah, no. That one made it. That one there was. I think there was marijuana on the table. It was
very legal here in California.
Guns.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Actually, the episode I just published, this was all covered in guns.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Was there some serious gun and knife collectors? And it's amazing how, like, I've kind of upped at my EDC in the last 6
in America. It comes with your kit when you fly in. You got to choose 20 of these for your pocket. I've got the ultimate fidgety toy just in this pocket. It's like, and you picked up the Jeep?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you got a Jeep? I heard you say that earlier.
A friend of mine borrowed
America! Fuck yeah!
A friend of mine borrowed it like 3 weeks ago. Where was I? I think in Mexico. But in any case, he sends me a photo saying, my Jeep's phone mount is like this American brand with the American flag on it with a bullet. Yeah. And my radio is set on country. And he goes, fuck, man, you're more American than most Americans. And I just thumbs up emoji
No,
back.
you're supposed to say yeehaw, motherfucker. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. That's what you should have done.
But yeah, no, when it comes to collecting, people here collect a lot of stuff. I've got one friend, also an Armenian dude, he collects guns. And it's like,
What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
it's huge.
Yeah.
It's like the stuff we shoot at the range in Burbank is more like, ha, 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 here's my, I don't know, Smith & Wesson
Bazooka.
.3. But then he's got like the one with the scope and the silencer that you see on sniper movies.
Yeah.
It goes out to a range of that, and you're like, okay.
What are you doing? Yeah. Are we
Yeah,
filming?
yeah. No, and it's another grip, and it's another this and that. Maybe I should look at the one when everything was packed out here, and they'll refer to, I've got more at home.
Yeah.
Now I can imagine.
I don't know why, but what comes to mind is Arnold Schwarzenegger and
yes.
Sylvester Stallone. They're battling when
Yes.
they were making movies together. When they were making movies,
Yeah.
there was a moment where they were kind of like enemies,
Okay.
and it was like, Sylvester Stallone did Rambo, and then Big Knife, and then Arnold was like, all right, Commander, and then Sylvester did part 2, and he had a bigger gun, and then Arnold was like, I gotta get a bigger gun. And
Who
then
came out with the double?
he started coming out with the helicopter. He would detach the
The Gatling gun.
because they were just competing.
Yeah.
Like bigger, more.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. You start getting your EDC, and then you're like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, I need to add. And then all of a sudden,
And then it becomes customized. I still haven't changed the exhaust on my.
that's a
I know
stock
my one
exhaust.
friend, he also looked at it the other day and he said, you know what, this bike is still very stock. And then I go, I don't even have a comeback, And
Yeah.
he's like, it's not just the sound, bro. It is also when you because I stay at the bottom of Angel's Crest, so I call myself a canyon carver,
yeah.
but I'm not really as hardcore, but I scrape, both
Right.
sides. But he's like, you can only get into that gear out. I'm like, but I've never really needed it. But so I don't know. If I want to stay in the club, I assume I need the
Get a little
Vance
bit
and
more.
Hines or the, I don't know, whatever brand is
Horsepower Inc. I would recommend Horsepower Inc.
for that motor.
Yeah,
114.
it's what I have on mine. I got. I have a.
Where's my
114.
20% discount code?
Yeah, but they should give you a 20% discount.
Yeah.
If they don't give you a discount, I know the guys in Ventura. They did a fair deal. It's the best sounding pipe in this sense. If you want it loud, it's loud, and if you're pulling into your home and you're getting close,
Yeah.
it's
Then you want
it's
to
quiet.
not
Yeah.
the.
Not even. It's not even. Woo, woo, woo. It's just. But it's like it sounds like a sports car, loud.
Yes.
But once you're off the throttle, like you can go in your neighborhood, and you're not being a piece of shit. Like,
Yeah.
And it's so far, I've had the Vance and Hines. I had everything great exhausts, especially the slip-ons are affordable and everything else. But
Yeah,
it's the
but they
more
just
it's
make
the,
sound.
it's the most horsepower that I've had from any other pipe that I've had.
But
And again, now there's
did
millions
you
of
change
them.
the crank on it as well to match it, or is it not a whole stage two
No.
conversion?
I did a stage 1. I did a stage 1. I did the full exhaust, not the tips.
Yeah.
And I got the 2-to-1.
Okay.
So because I have the double pipes.
Yes.
I didn't want all the extra weight, so I ripped all that off.
Yeah.
So,
So have
but-
you got a dummy on the back now on the one side?
No, I left
No,
it empty.
just left
I'll
it
show
up.
you the bike when we finish.
Nice.
Yeah.
We should have finished 2 minutes ago,
Yeah.
already, man, so I can see your bike.
Oh, yeah, let's go. We should have started with seeing the bike. That's a wrap, Ivan. Thank you so much, brother.
much for the opportunity.
Anytime. And looking forward for the next one.
Oh, definitely. Thanks, Albert.